Good morning, New Jersey. Welcome to the big broadcast. Coming up on 6:32 now, and joining us is meteorologist Rich Von Olin, coming all the way from Long Island, New York. Rich, good morning to you.
Good morning, Don. How are you?
We're good. We're good. The G-Man is off actually working, making some money, unlike the two of us right now. But he's in Philadelphia, so he's just finishing up. I guess he's finishing up the last half hour, because then they go to the Today Show. So he may pop in the chat as well, he said. He'll see what he can do to jump into the... Yeah, exactly. Well, we got to get some comments here. I'm going to open up the chat board in just a moment. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Good Morning New Jersey here on YouTube. That's where we need the subscribers. You know, Richie, we've been sitting at 799 for the last week. We crossed over 800 for about 2 seconds.
Yeah,
it was like the astronaut line. You know, we crossed over it and then we came right back down again. So we need somebody to be number 800.
Phone a friend.
Exactly. Phone a friend, right? Exactly. So yeah, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Trying to get to 1,000. That would be amazing. We'll see what we can do. So maybe some new faces and whatnot for 2025. With the three of us, so have some ideas, and we're going to sit down and try to plan this show out a little bit more in the new year. Try to do some consistency, is what the young kids, the YouTubers say. Rich, that's what they say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool.
Exactly. So this morning, getting up, well, as much as this weekend was brutal. I mean, the cold was just absolutely stiff. Do we get down to single digits in some places? Probably last night. Yeah, right.
Last couple nights we got there. Yeah, one of the coldest nights and mornings we had seen in about 2 years. If you recall, about 2 years ago, we had that shot behind that front when things just went really cold. But then since then, it hasn't really gotten that crazy cold. But yeah, it's been crazy. I think, it's bad when you wake up on Christmas Eve morning and it's about 25 degrees and you say, wow, it's warm out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was pretty stiff. I mean, there was a little bit of a wind, and kind of reminded me when I was in Finland for about 7-8 days. And it really just, boy,
biting cold,
biting cold, right? And what was it earlier in the month, or like November? What were we in the 60s? I mean, it was just such a drastic change.
We got really warm early. Yeah, and even like parts of, I'll show you the climate later, even parts of December, we've had a little roller coaster ride. There's been days in December when we're actually about 60 degrees. So it's just this up and down, back and forth. And it's funny, when you even it out, Don, it actually comes out to about normal for a little bit below normal. So
exactly.
But, we're going to have actually, if you don't like the cold, if you didn't like what you just saw the last 2 or 3 days, I think you're going to be very happy for the next couple of weeks. We'll get into that forecast coming up. So.
Nice. Sounds good. Yeah, we got a bunch of other topics on the agenda here for the next hour. We're going to go to 7:30, so get your comments ready and load them up into the comment section. Hit like and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. All right, Rich, so if you want to share your screen, we'll jump right into the weather here this morning. Not as bad this morning, obviously, as yesterday morning, but I will push it from the traffic end of things, that maybe take a look at your battery and stuff like that, because this kind of weather is a battery killer. We're not talking electric vehicles. We're just talking gas-powered vehicles with the 12-volt battery. Oh boy, these cold temperatures, if you don't have those cold cranking amps, you're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I remember those. My car was not happy. It was a little angry yesterday. I went to start it up, and you can kind of hear the putter. I was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Exactly. All right, Rich, so let's get into that forecast.
All right, let me get my computer all set here. Again, just bear with me here, and I'll get myself set. Okay, so we got December 24th. Good morning. It's Christmas Eve day, and just a reminder, in case you weren't aware, gotta cue the creepy music from Game of Thrones. Winter has arrived. We had it start on Saturday morning very early, and if you didn't notice over the weekend, certainly felt that way. So here's the deal. We start out this morning. We got a little bit of festive snow coming down, maybe to brighten the holiday spirit, like we've talked about. There's winter weather advisories south and west around Camden, Gloucester County, Burlington County, Salem County, around the Philly area. We've got a little bit there southwest of Trenton. There's a little batch of snow. We talked about it, during the week. And And you can see it right there on the radar screen. Shows up kind of nice. Now, this is not a major like wave or coastal storm, Don. It's not like one of those big snowstorms. It's a front coming in,
Right.
almost like an anvil. It can come in right there. You can see the radar on the Weather Service. Some of the colors there. Plainfield, West Milford. Now, it looks like it's snowing around Sussex right now, getting up towards the Wantage area. Alamucci, probably Warren County is seeing a little bit of snow, and you can see it on the this northeast satellite. See how thin it is, though. I mean, it's already like getting sunny in State College, Pennsylvania, Altoona, out towards the West Buffalo.
Right.
So it's just going to be a quick hit here. Not talking major.
I do have some cameras here, Rich, if you want to just take a break for 2 seconds here, because I have the camera that's in, where is this, Hamburg in Sussex. And there's snow on the ground here. I mean, we're at, kind of 0 dark 30 here, as the G-Man says, but I can't really make that any larger, but you can see that this is fresh stuff.
Yeah.
It's on the ground. Yeah, that's 23 at the interchange with 94 in Hamburg, up towards Franklin, Sussex in Sussex County. There's an extra town named Sussex, but so you can imagine what it's up a little bit further. So sometimes this stuff is kind of tough to drive into. This light powdery stuff, and there could be some ice underneath it, from maybe if some stuff was in the sun yesterday. My car, finally I got the hood and the roof cleared because I couldn't get it off. It was frozen solid, so we had some sun. But you could see maybe a little bit of ice underneath that, so that gets a little tricky. So
doesn't take much, like you said. Doesn't take much, even like a little bit. So you know what? Yeah, it's Christmas Eve. If you can sleep in, have a cup of coffee, relax, have some breakfast, let this go by. And if you blink, like I said, you're gonna miss it. You can see on the satellite. Look how quick. Again, even central western PA already is starting to clear out. This is just a little narrow band of snow showers. So, and there it is on the future radar. This is the future cast here. A little swath of blue right through the city. But by the time we get to like 10, 11 a.m., it's coming through Monmouth County, ready Neptune City, Long Branch. It's already off the coast there, just like that. And we're done. Lunchtime, sun's back out, and we're okay. It's a little bit cold. It's not like crazy cold like we had over the weekend. So I think you'll like this. Great for, the last minute shoppers. I know a lot of them out there. Yeah, of course. So if you want to take a ride, get your last minute stuff done, maybe go get the food or whatever you need for tonight, the 7 fishes, whatever you got going on. The rest of Tuesday will be good. And then there's Christmas Day itself. And, we're fine. It's a nice, quiet, very, very benign type of pattern here. And, maybe about 35, 40 degrees, about as quiet as Christmas gets. And then Thursday, Boxing Day looks good too. And then we're going to start to push temperatures slowly up here. Nothing on the maps. You don't see any big storms, any big green, any big colors on there, any low pressure. This is just a very quiet pattern. And let's go down, down the road. Why don't we see what's happening at the end of the year into early next year, 2025? And we talked about this last week. Things haven't really changed dramatically, Don. I mean, there's a lot of yellow. This is the jet stream pattern across the nation. And what you're looking for if you're a cold weather lover or a snow lover is the blue coloring on here. And you don't see a lot. We see yellow, we see green. This is towards the end of the week, towards Monday, the 30th, right before New Year's. There's a good shot of cold air in Canada, but it's like really not really diving towards New Jersey. See that, how it kind of like we get sideswiped, right? See it going west to east, north across Canada, Montreal, up towards Maine. It really doesn't penetrate and throw that big cold shot to the south like we've seen in recent years, right? So we're still in the green. We're still in the yellow. This is the first week of January, Don. And if this verifies and this trend continues, I don't see any big cold shots again. In fact, the Climate Center, this is the long-range outlook, taking us between New Year's Eve and the first week of January. And, Northeast, we're in that little notch of some orange and some, basically, lighter colors, which shows above normal temperature. If anything, near normal. The coldest stuff will be actually down south in Florida and to the west, and really no big rain or storms. There's some stuff, but nothing big. Don, they updated the seasonal outlook that takes us through January, February, and March. And, this really hasn't changed much either. We're still in the orange, which means temperatures averaging a little bit above normal as opposed to being a lot colder in the western states. So real no big change there in precipitation. A little wetter across the Great Lakes perhaps, but northeast kind of where we should be. Quick check of our climate. We talked about this too. This is the monthly for Newark Airport. And, Don, you mentioned about the 60s, right? On the 11th of December, we had actually 63 degrees right there.
That's crazy.
And then you mentioned temperatures. We were down to 11 degrees on, Sunday morning. So, back and forth with the up and downs with the temperature range. And
right.
We're averaging about 2 degrees below normal for the month. So it has been a cold month overall for December, and our precipitation is basically about normal, maybe a little bit below. But we still need that rain because we're still in the drought situation, believe it or not. It's hard to even fathom that it's December, almost the end of the year, right, and we're talking about drought conditions. It got a little better. Northern parts of, towards the Bridgewater area, up towards Morristown, Sussex, Warren County. They're down to now moderate drought, still severe drought, most areas up to Bergen County to the west and south, and still in that extreme drought though. Burlington County, Ocean County, Neptune City, Monmouth points south towards Ocean City, Atlantic City, and the Philly area. So that means we still need a lot of rain, and I don't see a ton coming anytime too soon. So we can come back to us there, Don, if you'd like. Okay.
Interesting. Actually, Rich, I'm going to go back to the cameras because I found a couple more that you can kind of even see the snow falling a little heavier here. This is going to be on Route 80. You can see there by the street lights at the bottom, right here. It's coming down, and it doesn't look like much seeing on a camera that's 200, 150 feet in the air. But if you're driving and this stuff is coming at you, it's a little difficult. It could be a little difficult to drive. Now, thankfully, today is Christmas Eve, so there are so many people it's just the way the holiday fell, Christmas right in the middle of the week, that, a lot of people just saved up the PTO to take off yesterday and today. And then, either out the whole week. All the schools, pretty much almost every school system is out this entire week. They've been off since like last Friday. So that makes things easier in the traffic end of things. This is going to be out by 94. That's not too bad. That's in Warren County. I just wanted to bring it a little closer to like the Patterson area, see what we're up against here. Not really too much. Trying to see if I have one more camera out in Hunterdon County. Let's see if I can bring that one up. Normally, this is notorious for getting a little bit of snowy activity. Let's do Jugtown.
There you go. There you
go. Not terrible. I think it's more like you said, up towards that northwestern section of the state here, and this is going to be in Hunterdon County out through just west of Clinton. So you can maybe see a little bit of dusting here, the kick up from the cars. So I don't know what time sunrise is. It's got to be probably closer to 7:25 or so, somewhere around there.
Yeah, about 7:20.
Yeah. So, while we're on traffic here with the maps, I'll just quickly run it down. As you can see, there is not much going on at all. Although the yellow here is indicating that some, slow traffic's right in those spots, Rich, where you said where you're going to see some of this snow right through the Poconos, Stroudsburg, up through Port Jervis, Middletown, 84, out through 22, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton. So it could be a little tricky driving for, the next couple of hours or so, but the rest of the state is completely empty. I mean, there is just no one out here. All the Hudson River crossings are fine. A little banged up here getting into Staten Island. There's an issue here out by Richmond Avenue, but Monmouth County, the shore areas, not a whole lot down through, all the way down towards Cape May. You would probably know obviously better than me, but like the shore areas like Long Branch, Point Pleasant, Seaside Heights, Cape. When was the last time they had any kind of like measurable snow? It seems like it's been a long time, like Atlantic City, like the boardwalk with like 6 inches of snow. It's been so long since I remember hearing, anything of that nature,
couple years.
Probably, right? I mean,
at least.
You just never seem to hear it. I guess it's just the way the warmer water with, the way that comes in off the ocean.
Yeah, the pattern too has been different too. We've been in this, this what's now a weak La Nina or La Nina pattern, and we talked about that where it's just things they're moving so fast. They don't have a chance to really develop and do what they do when they get that big bundling. And the last time we had that was back in January of 2022. when we had that big blizzard late that month. That was a good one. That was a decent one. That's
Exactly.
the last one I remember, though. After that,
Yeah.
we had one last year that was okay, but you're talking the 2 to 4, 3 to 6 inch, not the big, like, blockbusters. And don't say anything like that anytime too soon. And I think we're going to be quiet, at least for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's interesting how you kind of go down different avenues when you're on YouTube, right? So our friends over at the Joe and Joe Weather Show, you've worked with both of them extensively, Mr. Chaffee and Mr. Rayo. I do watch the show, during the week. I think it's very well done. And maybe because I do know Rayo a little bit, I work, obviously traffic and weather on them, but he has a clip, Chaffee has a clip of the 96 blizzard on his YouTube channel when he was at News 12 Long Island. Interesting to see, just how much snow we had, coming up on, 30 years in 2026. And I remember that blizzard here in New Jersey where, it was close to 3 feet at one point, easily. The drifts were like 6 feet high. They had no place to put the snow. And, but hopefully we don't get anything like that again.
It's been, we go through ups and downs. Like I said, you'll go through periods of quiet, and then all of a sudden, whoa, it'll wake you up. Things will change. You still stand that chance of getting a big storm this winter.
Sure.
But right now on the radar, in the next foreseeable future, we don't see that happening. The pattern has to change, and we'll let you know when it does. But right now, we're okay.
Good stuff. All right. Let's go through, Rich, some of the comments. Jimmy here says, good morning. Merry Christmas from Oak Ridge, New Jersey. Good morning to you. Are you seeing any snow up your way? Alexandra, my good friend here out of East Rutherford. She's working from home today, so that's some good news. And Jim says, Merry Christmas to Alexandra. My good friend Anna from Holmdel, Monmouth County. Not seeing any snow there, I imagine. Buenos dias. Merry Christmas to you and your families. Same thing to you. We've got Jessica coming in from Howell, so good morning to you. And James is asking, our temperature is going to go up? And I think you said yes, and that's an official head nod of
yes, they are.
Of temperatures going up. So what are the forecasts for like New Year's Eve? That's always been, used to see the late great departed Dick Clark standing out on New Year's Eve with Times Square, and it's interesting. Somebody, again, you go to YouTube, has got, there's enough entertainment on YouTube to keep you occupied for about 10 lifetimes. There's just so much stuff, and hopefully everyone was watching our repeat broadcasts of Good Morning New Jersey. But it's interesting. Somebody did all the ball drops, like the last 30 seconds from like when he first started, I guess in 1970 up until whatever, like 20, 30 years of it. And it's interesting to watch because they always had the temperature, and how many back in like the 70s, early 80s, the temperatures were like, 8 degrees, 10 degrees, 12 degrees. And as he got into the 90s, it was, 40 degrees, 45, there's been some New Year's Eves where it's been in the 50s and raining. So what do you think the outlook is looking for next week?
Last I looked, I think we're going to be closer to the warm than the cold this year. Like I said, there's just nothing. Probably going to be, if anything, comfortable. There's a big rainstorm that the models have been showing on the 30th, probably the day before, Don. Not New Year's Eve, but the 30th. If that gets out of the way and you don't get a crash of cold air coming in, it probably will be kind of comfortable, maybe about 35, 40 degrees, not too bad. That's what it looks like right now. Again, it's a little ways away, but we don't see anything, at least no ice, no cold, no crazy biting, cold or snow, and probably not crazy warm like we've seen. So somewhere in the middle, I think. And I think that'll make everybody kind of happy.
Sure. So historically, Rich, getting into January, February, what's usually the coldest point for us here in the Northeast as far as timing? Is it like second week, third week of January, and then you kind of turn the corner and then you start to climb the mountain again? Whereabouts is that?
Right. Climatologically, your coldest week is around right after Martin Luther King week, weekend there, right in that week there. That's when you kind of bottom out with your coldest daytime average highs and lows. I think it's like about maybe 39, 40 is the average high, and about maybe 25, 26 for Newark. At different places across the state, of course, have different numbers. If you're up in Sussex, it's probably closer to like 33, 34. Atlantic City is probably closer to 42, 43. So, it varies, but the average is about 40, 25. That's the split. And then after about the 26th, 27th of January, they start to level off and start to come up into February as we get that higher sun angle. So that's, so we're right about a month off heading into that coldest core of the year.
So now you mentioned sun angles. Let's talk about this. This has been in the news the last week or so by this daylight saving time. President-elect Trump has said that he wants to abolish daylight saving time. Now, whether he's talking about getting rid of daylight saving time where we set the clocks an hour ahead, or he's talking about getting rid of standard time, I'm not sure which is what he is looking to do. And certainly now Marco Rubio is, candidate for Secretary of State, and he was a big driving force for Florida. He actually had legislation passed, I think, in Florida, and also had it on the floor of the Senate, the Sunshine Protection Act. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it was called, to stay on daylight saving time year round. So let's go through a couple scenarios. Let's say we stay on daylight saving time year round. So in the summer, it'll be sunrises by 4 o'clock, twilight probably 3:30 somewhere. Sunsets are right around 9:30 maybe or so, give or take. But in the winter, that's where it comes into play.
Yeah.
Comes into play where it's not going to get light until closer to 8:30.
Yeah, the problem with daylight saving time, the whole issue here, it's like it's one square that it's not one size fits all for everybody. If the earth wasn't tilted, if everyone lived at the same latitude and we didn't have seasons, it would work perfectly for everybody. The problem is you get different situations in different parts of the country, between north and south. And it's just the way the earth is. It's just a natural science thing. But because what happens is, if you stay, like you said, Don, with daylight saving all throughout the year, you're going to have a situation where the morning people in the morning, or kids going to school, it's going to be dark still at like 8:30, 9 a.m. Okay, that's the problem. All right, it'll be still light at 5, 6 p.m. Oh, great, but it'll be dark, very early. Now the morning people won't like that, but the evening people will be happy. If you do it the other way around, okay, it's light at like 7:30, for the morning, but then you're dark at 4:35, so it's one way or the other. But then, like you said, in the summertime, it's not quite as a factor, because you have the daylight no matter what. You're getting more,
Right.
And if in the early morning, unless you like being up and having sunshine at 4 a.m., It's just the way it works with the way the earth is. You're not going to please everybody. Someone's not going to be happy on either end, whether it's the morning or the evening. And I think it's also down, in my opinion, it's a matter of safety too. Look, you got a lot of early morning risers that get up, especially in the wintertime, as we're seeing this morning, with fog, with snow, with bad roadways, with crews that aren't out yet. Still dark through like 8, 9 a.m. It could be dangerous. I think a lot of people get off to work early. It depends. But things have changed on over the years. Not everyone works 9 to 5 now.
Sure, exactly.
So,
Everyone works different. Yeah, everyone works kind of like, just when, I want to say whenever, but you're right about that. The majority of folks don't work 9 to 5, and there's a lot of people who say just leave it the way it is. I get the idea, the whole idea of the whole time change kind of throws you off for maybe about a couple of days or a week or so. But, after that, I think folks kind of settle in. And then the other thing too, I've seen some reports where some of the sleep experts have come out and said that having daylight up until about 9:30 or so, depending on what area you're in, in the summer, places like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Green Bay, it's not going to get dark until well after 11:30.
Right.
So they're saying that it could certainly affect the sleep cycle, the circadian rhythm for a lot of folks, because it's still light outside. You're like, well, hey, if it's still light outside, I can still go out and do some things or whatever. And then the whole sleep pattern gets completely screwed up. you're down to 3, 4, 5 hours of somewhat decent sleep. But and there's something to be said about that. Someone who used to work the overnights, as know, for close to 13 years, it's not an easy shift. And thankfully that I am off that shift now, but it takes a toll after a while.
Yeah, I think they tried this, Don, back in the 70s, I recall.
Yeah.
They did actually do away with the daylight saving for I think it was, I don't know if it was for a year or how long it was.
I think
from what I read, you can go on, you can Google it.
Yeah.
I think it failed miserably. That's what there was a lot of problems. That's what I recall back in the 70s, I think. And then we didn't see that again. They chatted, talked about it, but I like I said, if in a perfect world where there weren't seasons and wasn't latitudes and different stuff, I think everyone would be happy. But it's just not the way it works. Like I said, up north would be drastic. Areas south would be happy, but then it's you swap it out when the season changes. So it's
and in order to do something like this, to change the daylight saving time, I don't know, it's not a constitutional situation, but I think you obviously need all the states on board with it, because it obviously affects state borders. We only have 2 states right now, Hawaii and Arizona, that don't change the clocks, and for a while I thought Michigan did not as well, but I think that was maybe back in the days where it was between Indiana and Michigan, it was the central eastern time zone, and then they moved I think of Indiana into the eastern time zone, and Ohio as well, and they started shifting the time zone lines and things like that. So you can't realistically have New Jersey say, okay, well, we want daylight saving time all year round, but then New York decides, well, hey, we don't want that, we like it the way it is. You can't go across the George Washington Bridge and then
the time changes. I know, they just
lose an hour
for work. Yeah, I know. It's too weird.
Maybe a lot of folks using the George Washington Bridge would appreciate if the time went back an hour, because then you're on time for work, sitting in the hour for the traffic. But it's an interesting kind of question, but it's also been more interesting to see where some of this has been stemming from is the southern states, like Florida, parts of Texas, and they're the ones who kind of are saying, hey, let's stay on daylight saving time year round. But for them, I mean, it's not a whole lot of a deviation really with sunrise and sunset. So really, they don't really see much of an impact to their lives as much as, like I said, those in Seattle or Minneapolis, St. Paul and whatnot. So
that's the problem. Exactly. You hit it on the head. It's like the southern states. Oh, this is great. We have a lot of light. We have plenty of light. That's not a big deal. I don't notice it. Yeah, because you're south. When you're north, you get the more drastic changes. For example, I went to Alaska last summer. In August, and let me tell you, the sun rises in August at 3:30 a.m. and it doesn't set till midnight. It's crazy. You got to pull the shades down and go to sleep. It's nuts. And then this time of year, the sun rises at noon and sets at 1 p.m. That's it. You get 1 hour. It's just crazy.
Right.
And so it depends. It's a latitude thing. It's just the way the earth is. And unless we had spring and fall all throughout the year, you're not going to solve that problem. It's just physically impossible.
You're watching Good Morning New Jersey, folks, coming up on 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, friends, here in the Northeast of the great United States. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please do post up in the comments here this morning and let us know where you're watching us from. The G-Man may pop in the chat room. We can't really do it video-wise. He's just finishing up NBC 10 going into the Today Show, which they've already started the music, and they're heading to Rockefeller Plaza. So he may jump in here in the chat room in just a couple of moments. So, Rich, you mentioned your trip to Alaska. Big fisherman you are. Let's talk about this striped bass, I don't want to say situation or whatever the regulations we were talking before we started. Kind of run down some of this. The season obviously coming to an end. Is this correct?
Yeah, I got some video if you want to go back to my video here. I want to talk a little bit about this. I don't know if many of you know me. I've been fishing my entire life for about 50 years, and I'm very avid, very, very enthusiastic with this stuff. I'm out I'm a nut. I'm out almost 10 months out of the season. And if you're an angler, fisherman across New Jersey, across New York, across the Northeast, the striped bass, this fish right here is, arguably one of the most prized catches you can get, and I guess the conservation efforts going back to the 90s were tremendous. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and if you caught one of these, it was a miracle. But when they rebuilt the, you know, the biomass, the, you know, the stock of these striped bass in the 90s, they just really did a fantastic job. The Fisheries Associations just absolutely did great in bringing these beautiful fish back to the tri-state area. And in the last few years, Don, it's been absolutely epic. We've had fall runs like this, which just featured an amazing amount of fish. But there's been a little bit of chatter now, you know, after about 30 years, that these fish are starting to not spawn the way they're supposed to and not producing the numbers of baby bass. That's been the problem. Now, there's plenty of big fish. You know, if you've been out here doing this on the Jersey Shore, across the New York Bight, across New York, you know, a lot of these fish, you know, 40 inches, 50 inches, 30, 40, 50 pounds have been around for about, you know, 15, 20 years. That was from those really good spawning years that we had back in the early 2000s. So the management just was terrific, and there's been so many. Now, recently, we've been seeing less of the what's called the slot fish. Like, if you want to go for these, Don, you want to keep them. They brought the regulation down between 28 and 31 inches last year for keeping them. The rest you have to return. It's called the slot limit. If you get a bigger fish, you put it back in the water. You get a smaller fish, you put it back in the water. So the big ones have been living pretty well. They've been migrating pretty well, eating pretty well. We're starting to get into this class of these 6 to 7 year old fish coming in that you can keep. But what the fisheries associations are concerned about are these little ones, the babies, you know, the 15-inch, 16, 17-inch, you know, couple of pound bass that, you know, supposedly should be, you know, spawning, should be, you know, reproducing, they should be growing. And there's two areas that they look at for the spawns. One's in the Hudson River. This is the one, you know, the chart they have that shows the, you know, the amount of baby bass, basically. You can see it's up and down for the past 20, 30 years, pretty good. But you see the last 2 or 3 years, it's been kind of a downturn here in the amount of baby bass that they've been seeing. And those little bass, you know, you need more of these. And now there was another chart that I don't have here, but the Chesapeake Bay is the other area that tends to produce, you know, a lot of the bass that we see. And that's even worse than this Hudson River one. That, you know, the fisheries management's been saying there's just not enough spawning. Now, what they're saying is the factor seems to be, I don't know. They're saying that it has to do with the environment and climate, perhaps. Maybe there's not enough ice there. Maybe the eggs are being eaten, whatever it is. There's a lot of things they're studying. And so there was a consideration, basically, to shut down. I mean, amazing. With all these fish, think about it. Thousands and thousands of these big, beautiful striped bass up and down the Jersey Shore. Surf guys get them. You get them in the ocean. And they were considering, you know, shutting down for 2025, not even be able to target or keep any of these fish for a season. It's called a moratorium.
Right.
Fortunately, they went back to the table about a week or two ago, just recently, and said, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to give it another year and see what happens. So good news for striped bass anglers. You're going to have another year of being able to catch these fish, and then they're going to reevaluate for 2026 and see what happens.
What's like the largest fish you've ever caught?
Basically, well, this one I had in my hand. Let me see. The biggest one I had this one this year, about 54.5 pounds, 54.
Oof. Wow.
Which was huge. I was safely returned. I have a picture of it somewhere. But this fish in the picture here is probably about 25 pounds. To put it in perspective, it was twice the size of this guy. So
wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. You know, I mean, you know, if you fish a lot your entire life and you're able to get one of these, you know, I mean, it's just really special to get these. And look at a nice calm day in the background there, beautiful ocean. There's nothing like it. So.
And this was caught off of Long Island.
Rockaways, right? Rockaways.
Yeah.
To the west is New Jersey, Sandy Hook, Raritan Bay down back there. So that's that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. My neighbor is a big fisherman. He goes out during the season. Sometimes during the summer, twice a week. He'll head down through Manasquan out that way.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
Hook,
yeah.
Seabright. Forgot what he usually goes out for. Gosh. If I see him later today, I'll ask him. But he's, you know, the season has been okay. You know, his buddy with the boat. Sometimes if he decides he doesn't want to go out, he can't go out. So, you know, it's a matter of you know, them getting the facilities to head out. But great stuff, Rich. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've gone fishing a couple of times. My nephew's gone a couple of times, and he's been fairly successful. You know, when he was a kid.
It's great. Yeah, Jersey New Jersey, the Jersey Shore, Jersey up and down from
Mhm.
Raritan, from Sandy Hook all the way down to the Barnegat and south towards Ocean City. I mean, there's some really, really fantastic fishing. You can look up some of your charter boats. I went out to Point Pleasant one time. It's just there's a lot of opportunities out there to really have a good time throughout the year. And if you look things up, even on the beach, just walk the beach, you'll see in the fall hundreds and hundreds of anglers down there casting and just having a blast. It's fun. It's pretty cool.
Sure. Cool. You're watching Good Morning New Jersey. 7:06 is our time. We're going to go to about 7:30 or so. So join on the comments and jump in here. The comment section is now open. So let's Rich, just kind of switch gears again and do a little bit of a follow-up from what we spoke about last week with the drones.
Yeah.
Definitely we're out there Saturday, Sunday. I didn't look last night, but definitely over the weekend. I mean, it was clear, cold.
Yeah.
So, you got a lot of good lift. The cold air is better for flying, really. I mean, it really is. Just you get it's so much easier to get up in the air with that heavier air. But still, nobody's really come out and said definitively what these things are. I mean, there's been some reports of some folks saying, oh, they're just recreational people jumping on the bandwagon and, adding to the hysteria, if you want to call it that. I'm still not buying that. I'm still in the camp that it's us. It's governmental, law enforcement. Somebody, like I said, if you break it down to the basic principle of recreational drones with those small batteries and cold weather does not mix. So in optimal conditions, 65, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, you can get some up to a half hour on a battery, depending on how fast you're flying it and whatnot, how much wind resistance and stuff like that. I mean, these things are up for hours. So these are commercial drones, and what they're doing is beyond anyone's guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still mystery. We talked to Bill Corbell last week, meteorologist here from Long Island. I spoke with him on my own a little bit. We had some chats back and forth, and look, there was a lot of stuff that was recognized by the government officials, the governors, and from the states, from both New York and New Jersey. I guess there were some additional no-fly zones put in there for the drones. If you noticed that,
they were, yes.
And it's interesting that they're trying to crack down on this. And the question, like you said, Don, though, is just like, what is the impact and what's the reasoning and what's the safety? I mean, what is the fear, so to say? I think it's more just a concern because you look up, you see something flying right there, hovering over your house. Is someone looking for something? Correct. Or they just like having some fun? I don't. That's you make a good point, Don. I mean, are they commercial? Are they doing things? Maybe they're doing stuff for like landscape, for maybe some videos, for stuff on YouTube, or is it something else? The thing is, you just don't know. I think it's the unknown that makes us a little bit edgy, So
it definitely is the unknown, Rich. That's exactly what it is. And to have somebody kind of the eye in the sky type situation is it's a little unnerving. And again, it's just, are they looking for something specific is what it, I think, comes down to. I don't know. No one knows what that possibly could be. There's a million theories and rumors out there, and whether any of that's true or not, who knows? I mean, you just have, you just have no idea. And again, where these things are coming from, no guess at all.
No. And I suspect as winter goes on, Don, I think Bill Corbell and I were talking to, it gets colder, it gets not so nice. I think you'll see probably not, a decrease in the volume, I think, in frequency of these. It'll end for a while, and then spring will come again, and it'll start to come again. It's just,
Well, we got a lot of good comments, Rich, on Bill's pieces there. So it was great to hear from Bill, see him and whatnot. So he had a ton to that show last week. So, I got a lot of good feedback on that. But again, it's, like you said, we'll see how far this goes into the winter. And I don't know. My part of my concern is, and again, from being in the helicopter for, about a year and a half or so, is kind of that flash traffic that, that they may not be aware of, that, news helicopters don't really have a set flight plan per se, that it's kind of breaking news. They go wherever the news is. So that flight plan is pretty much made at, the last couple of moments, and, air traffic control here out of Newark and out of Islip, and as well out towards LaGuardia and stuff like that, are extremely generous with the airspace for all the news helicopters, because they know that they have a job to do and stuff like that. So, but especially flying at night, and, sunset, I should say, is 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, really, whatever. And if these things are going up earlier, you're right in the prime time slots for these news helicopters to do the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, even 11 o'clock news. So that's where I get a little concerned for my friends there doing that. And as well as, NYPD or state police helicopters. And really, it's the other big important one is the medevac helicopters, that there's been some reports that these drones have kind of possibly gotten in the way of some of their, heroic work that they do. So we'll see how this plays out. Maybe somebody comes forward and figure us out exactly where these things are coming from. They'd have moved in some supposedly radar systems to the area to try to track some of these things, but whether, okay, you track them, but then what are you going to do? So
yeah, you just hope for no accidents. You hope that it's
Exactly.
for safety, and I just hope it doesn't take a collision or some kind of something. That finally decide to say, oh, yeah, we got to do something.
Well, that's the thing.
Hope,
Exactly. Well, that's the thing too. And unfortunately, a child down in Orlando was at a drone show, and one of these things got out of control and actually hit him in the chest, and he's in pretty serious shape. Had emergency surgery, open heart surgery. I don't know exactly particulars of this, and that was just a kind of a recreational type drone. This was nothing like these things that folks are saying that they're seeing the size of SUVs and cars. God forbid one of those things come down. That's as big as a helicopter. So. So we shall see where that story continues to take us.
Saga continues.
That's exactly right. So we have Sally here from Garrett Mountain. So Merry Christmas to you. So thank you so much for joining us. So now let's shift gears again. Let's talk, in years past, we've heard polar vortex, that terminology. Kind of run through us, like what exactly is the polar vortex, and why does so much of the media kind of just jump on that bandwagon? And, is it more of a fright tactic from the media, or is it, an actual phenomenon or meteorological? I can't 7:13. You know where I'm going, Richie. So let me.
I got you.
Yep.
All right, I got you. I got a little map for you here. You
Okay.
can illustrate it a little bit. So, all right. So the polar vortex has been around forever. Okay, it's nothing new. It's been around. It's just one of these terms that all of a sudden became popular in the past several years. And, went across social media, and it sounded great. Now, all it is, it's just a large dome of very cold air that spins kind of counterclockwise across the polar regions. It's typically across what's called the Arctic Circle. If you took high school geography and stuff, 60 degrees north up towards the North Pole. And what's happening up here, like we talked about, the Alaska thing, there's just no sunlight up here, for about 3 months. You're not getting any kind of light or any kind of heating. Anything that gets up here in terms of warmth has to be kind of like transported from the south. And typically, you'll see a lot of blue, a lot of purple up here. Now, what you're going to get are these little pods, if you see carefully, Don, little circles of, purple. See the one at their top left on the screen right there? They're just kind of like eddies of the cold air that kind of hatch and break off from the main polar vortex. And what will sometimes happen, as we talked about, when the season goes on, this, as we call it, a low or counterclockwise circulation of the vortex can have a tendency to drop a little farther south through Canada and perhaps even into the lower 48 states. So when it drops south, that's when you hear about it across our area. And as that happens, it's still a polar vortex. It just happens to visit our area. And then we talk about it, and of course, many times suffer with some very, very cold air that tends to come down the pike. So that's really all that is. Like I said, it's nothing new. It's nothing that has not existed in recent years. It just happens once in a while. And it did happen pretty frequently, going back 5, 10, 15 years with some of those really nasty winters we had between, let's say, 2014, 2019, before things kind of switched a little bit. But, are we going to see one this winter? Is it going to happen again? Like you said, jury's still out with this pattern that we've had with the La Nina, the weak La Nina. It's kind of keeping the cold air at bay. But, it only takes one good, shot, one good hatch, one good, drop from the north to give us, a really good shot. So we'll see what happens. Okay.
Mhm.
But that's all that is. Okay. It's nothing new. But, but when it happens, though, it's crazy, though.
Very, very cold. I got a couple more cameras as we're coming up on sunrise here. So this is 287. Pardon me. This is out by Route 23. Little kind of messy looking. And this is 287 way up north in Mahwah by 17. You see roadways are clear, but it's still like this.
A little snow. There you go.
Yeah, just a little bit right there. Let me go back to our camera on 23. Let's bring that in. And this is in Hamburg, is the one we showed you earlier. Now I see a little more light, a little sloppy out there, and we bring in that 80 camera where we were looking at some of the snow, if it's shut off at this point. That was right here at 25. So it looks like
look at that.
Still a little bit here, so it's maybe quarter inch or whatever, maybe a little bit more on the grassier surfaces, as you folks in the weather department always called it.
Festive. These are festive flakes. These are festive.
Right. That's right. So I guess technically that, this is not going to disappear by midnight 12:01. So I guess technically it's a white Christmas, right? I mean,
you need 1 inch on the ground officially to be called a white Christmas. I don't know. You gotta go out there and measure.
Geez. Who's coming up with those parameters? 1 inch.
I just reported. Yeah, I'm just the messenger. But it looks nice though. But it looks nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's festive. That's what you said. Yeah. 10 at 53. Looks a little messy. Let me bring in, let me see here where another higher camera. Everything is down towards the shore, really. Let's see what else we got. 1202. Well, let me see. We can take a look at Morristown, see if anything's happening there. Just a little, it's just ugly. This is what it really comes down to. I mean, not that Morristown is ugly. Morristown is beautiful, but just not what you're looking for. So thankfully, hopefully, a lot of folks are off today. There's really no traffic to speak of per se, which is a good thing. So obviously that's, way somewhat to the north. And then if you go all the way down towards Cape May, there's a little sunshine right there. So big difference in Tale of New Jersey. And that's been, the story of New Jersey for forever. So that, you can go all the way up to the mountains or all the way down towards the shore areas. And you can see that things are pretty good. This is out by this Long Beach Island. So that actually looks like a halfway decent day. I mean, They don't really have much in the way of snow on the ground at all. And let me bring it over to, come down towards Monmouth County, that shore area where the G-Man stomping grounds. This is getting into Point Pleasant right there. It's actually a pretty nice looking day right there, starting out right by the marina. So not definitely a tale of two different parts of our state. And I'm going to bring in one more camera. I want to go back to that 78 camera here. This is out in Hunterdon County. So we go from that, and you can almost see maybe the sun trying to peek through just a little bit there. So, so you're saying Rich sun will come through sometime later today?
Oh, pretty quickly. Yeah, I think even like by about 10 a.m. I'm looking at the radar right now, and if you want to take my full screen here quickly on the radar loop, you can actually see the you actually see the dividing line. Look how sharp it is right there. You're talking getting right through middle. See, getting right probably into the middle of Middlesex County right now, Bridgewater area, Bernards. Mercer County, probably getting into Trenton right now, Robbinsville area, just starting there. But you can see most of Monmouth County, not really seeing it yet, but certainly Morris County's got it. Warren County, Sussex, Wantage, up towards West Milford, Passaic, Patterson now looks like got some stuff going there.
Right.
But the back edge is already getting into the Scranton area. So this is just going to be so quick.
Yeah.
And a thin shot, and I think we'll be done with this pretty soon. You know, there's a weather service radar or two.
Let me see if I can bring these cameras up here. Let's see. This is. Yeah, I was just looking at the camera in Port Jervis, and it's pretty much the same as the ones in New Jersey. So not a whole lot of different action. Yeah, so it's really that northwest corner that gets dumped on.
It's good. Thin, yeah. It's a little thin shot. It's a front, you know. So I mean, this, you know, if like I say, if you blink, you're gonna miss it. If you want to see some festive flakes and get into the holiday spirit, open up your window, look outside, and enjoy it. Have a cup of coffee, and then go out there with your, you know, little shovel brush, get the snow out of the way off the stoop, and go back inside and go have some fun. I think it'll be kind of a good situation. This is not going to really be an all-day thing. In fact, if anything, like you said, by the time the sun comes up and by the time it's you know mid to late morning, I think you'll be nice and quiet. So that's pretty good. Okay.
Good stuff. Sounds good. We've got Janice here coming in from Piscataway. So good morning and Merry Christmas from Piscataway. And Janice, I will just throw a little shout out to my good friends over at Piscataway TV. PCTV, I don't recall what channel numbers they're on if you have cable, so definitely give those folks a check. They do a real nice job there, our friends at PCTV. So looking for some good local programming. They do one hell of a job, so they're really big shout out to them. Let me bring it over. Let me do the sponsors here, Rich, real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. We'll run down the forecast for today and into the weekend, into New Year's. So let me bring in this. Oop, there we go. Now I gotta find it. Oh boy, let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. You know, where's the StreamYard? They changed the folder system like overnight. So all my stuff,
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's a completely different folder here. So Eastern, no, that's not it. But that we will get to that one. I got to take down the comments first. There we go. Media assets. Oh, where is it, Rich? Where is it? Why did he do this? And they're giving me any warning either to do this. So, here it is. So we'll do Eastern Millwork. So Eastern Architectural Millwork, Exterior Division, 5005 Belmar Boulevard, Unit A2 in Wall Township. Give them a call, 732-610-4502. If you're looking for any kind of exterior millwork, pergolas, and so forth. I know the G-Man's been doing a bunch of work down towards the shore communities because a lot of times this is the best time to do that work, as crazy as it sounds. Places like Spring Lake, Belmar, Manasquan, Point Pleasant, because trying to get in to do construction during the summer is absolutely impossible. You can't even find parking for the work vehicles and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of this work gets done, usually December, January, February, March, and so forth, and getting ready for the new season. So that's Eastern Architectural Millwork, and definitely give them a call. Also, our good friend Travels with Darley Newman. A big happy birthday to Darley, celebrated doesn't look a day over 30 in my book. That's on that was a Saturday, so she's actually down in the Caribbean. If you follow her on social media, which I certainly would suggest that you do, go ahead and do that. It's darley-newman.com is the website. She's on Instagram, posts a lot of fun pictures and so forth. Upcoming season is coming up in January. We'll give you all the details here on Good Morning New Jersey when that drops. There are a couple episodes here in New Jersey, which is great to see, up in Passaic County, up towards the West Milford area. Did a lot with Passaic County this year, so that is great news. Last year had a bunch of great episodes in Perth Amboy, as well as in Morristown and down towards Freehold and Monmouth Battlefield. So get ready to check that out. You can find her on PBS Create, Amazon Prime, as well as New Jersey's PBS. And again, big happy birthday to our good friend Darley Newman. All right, Rich. So let's kind of wrap up here. Let me put your stage there in, and we'll first talk. Let's talk about the models.
Yeah.
So in your world, weather world, you always hear, regardless of what media you're watching, whether it's Channel 2, 7-Eleven, whatever, listening on the radio, they always say, the latest model. So first of all, tell us what
models are, and then let's specifically talk about this NAM model that's kind of been kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I just want to put a public service announcement here, because when you're on social media and you're seeing a lot of posting of maps when a snowstorm comes or a snow event comes, there are many different computer, what they call models or guidance, maps that have different equations and different, ways of determining how much rain or snow or how cold it's going to be. There's the primary ones. The GFS is kind of like the main one that most used across the world, for that matter. Then you got the Euro. You've heard about that model, right? Let's go with the tropical stuff. And then you've got these other models, an old school one known as the NAM, which has been around for about 25, 30 years. It actually replaced the old school ADA model back in the day, but they kept it. It's called the North American model. It's basically here as more of a closer or fine-tuned model. But the problem with it is that it tends to get a little crazy sometimes, okay? It's not as conservative. And I just want to say that this past week, on Thursday morning, before we had that snow down on Saturday, right? We had like 2 to 4, 3 to 5 inches in New Jersey. Long Island, this is just a map for Long Island. The model on the NAM was actually going for like 8 to 10 inches of snow, while the other models were going for like an inch or two. Okay. It was a big difference between what one was showing and the other was showing. And everyone kind of saw this because it's a public thing. You can see this online. And when these maps get posted, people go nuts. Oh my God, we're getting a big storm. Oh my God, we're getting a blizzard. But look what happened only 5 or 6 hours later when they updated, when these models refreshed. It went to 0. Okay. So you went from 8 to 0.
Wow.
Within like about a 6-hour period. This is what drives meteorologists crazy when you see these changes. And of course, the verification, as we remember on Saturday, was, we had a few inches in New Jersey, but, only about a coating to a couple of inches, maybe up to 3 in Long Island, but certainly not 7 or 8. And that's what makes things kind of annoying here. So you got to be kind of careful when you see some of the extreme maps that you may see posted from weather enthusiasts on social media. Just, use your head, because, be a little conservative.
Yeah.
Typically, it takes really something special to get those big numbers. And it certainly wasn't the case this past weekend. Yeah, we got some snow. It was kind of cool. But, nothing like what the NAM was showing. So just, I guess the word lesson of the day, beware the NAM when it looks crazy. Okay.
Beware the NAM. I feel like it's the day with, was it Domino's Pizza, avoid the Noid. So.
Avoid the Noid, yeah, beware the NAM. But I think we've learned that as meteorologists to go, take it with a grain of salt. But in terms of our weather, what we do know, Don, is that starting today, we're out of the ice box. We're going to warm things up. We're going to be quiet. We'll get through this little festive snow this morning. And then it's just going up. We're going to start to see some 30s become 40s and even some 50s by the weekend into next week. And it looks even through New Year's Eve. There'll be a little rain, maybe, but no big snowstorms, no big cold. Maybe until about January the 4th or 5th or 6th. Somewhere there is our next opportunity to get back to the cold. But right now, we're in kind of a benign winter pattern. If you don't like cold, snow, and crazy stuff like that, enjoy and have a very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, same to you, Rich. Whether we'll do a show on New Year's Eve, not quite sure just yet. We'll have to see how things play out. Wow, I'm getting blowtorch. Right. You know what is the side of my face here, because the monitor is so big that I have, and it's just like the light coming from it. Because I had brought up some of the temperatures here, but that's the wrong one. So, but yes, so Happy New Year to you. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Was Hanukkah and Christmas were in the same day. Yeah, correct. Tomorrow was in the same day, which is hasn't been a long time. I know they've been in the same week, but never really on the same day. So some interesting history there. We're going to wrap things up here with Mikey C out of the Woodbridge Corvette Club. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all. Thank you for all the important information over the year. Mikey, appreciate the good words, sir. Thanks so much for joining us each and every Tuesday we do these shows. I can't wait for the car season. I have to gotta fire up the Cadillac maybe tomorrow or Thursday when it moderates a little bit. I've had some issues where, it's in kind of literally cold storage, and then the battery doesn't start, and then you're in the hole for another $400 for a battery. So wish I could get out and drive it, but I'm not taking it out in this weather. It's got to moderate just a little bit, maybe get some rain just to kind of wash the car cover off and stuff like that. But
every day we get it, closer towards the new season, which will start sometime probably in early May. So maybe a show in April. Never know. Or maybe we may get a 60-degree day in January.
It happened. Out of the question. It's these days, it's not. It's something that can certainly happen. So
absolutely. All right, Rich. Good to see you, my friend. As always, great information here. And again, we'll see if we come on the air next Tuesday or not. So happy New Year to you if we don't chat beforehand. And we'll regroup and come back for 2025. G-Man is on his break, I guess, is what it is. NBC 10. Exactly. So like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, my friends. So that's Good Morning New Jersey. See who can be the 800th. Maybe Mikey in the Corvette Club. Can you get some of the boys to subscribe to the YouTube channel? I can see who subscribes and whatnot, and we'll give you a special shout out and stuff like that. So, all right, Rich, again, happy holidays. We will see you soon. And let me get the music here. Can't be a complete show, Rich, without the favorite music.
There it is.
Special. There it is.
There we go.
All right, friends, have a good morning in Jersey and happy holidays.